And we're back with a little bit of a view at some Rimworld mods, entirely from the lens of quality of life. We're looking at mods here that don't change the game balance in any way, just make your life easier, make it require less clicks to get what you want done. Now these are the mod sections, but the first thing we're going to be looking at is replace stuff. When you first started off, this is probably the first thing you'll notice when you try and replace a wall. Just say you want to place a marble wall and you go, well, those granite walls, I want to replace them. Nope, you can't do it. You want to brick in a doorway? You can't do it. You want to replace a wall with a doorway? You can actually do that. That's built in by default. I'm actually kind of surprised. Honestly, I've been using replace stuff for so long. But what you can do is you can install replace stuff. Once you have replace stuff installed, you can then just overlay walls with walls of a different type. This just seems so simple and easy it should be built into the base game. If you don't have this installed, you will literally have to deconstruct walls and then replace them with something else. You're just adding extra clicks. This is usually most prevalent when you're switching from a wood base to a stone-based base. And also when you're replacing floors, you may have put down something like concrete and you may wish to replace it with different floor tiles. Well, now you can. You don't even have to. It just saves you a number of clicks. And for that, I would consider this one of the handiest base mods to bake in. Now, another thing you're going to encounter is, well, how far can you zoom out? You can zoom out pretty far on the map, but that just sort of does not work for me. Especially when you're dealing with attacks from multiple angles. This just doesn't really fit. So, next up, we have Camera Plus. Camera Plus allows you to zoom out. Way out. Way out. You can see pretty much the entirety of the map. Not only that, when you zoom out, you can see those three dots there. Those three dots are your pawns. It actually highlights them that way. You can even see animals on the edge of the map. They show up as different dots. This is so handy. For example, there's a whole bunch of dead buffaloes over there. This zoom out feature is just so much easier when you're dealing with large attacks from multiple angles, especially when you get an attack in, you click on the button to go view it and then you forget where it came from, or there's multiple attacks coming from 3 angles. Now you can just zoom all the way out and have a good hard look. And not only that, it comes with an additional built-in feature. Oh, let's just say you have your kill box over here. You can hit Alt and 1, and now you've hotkeyed it. So when you're over somewhere else and you want to hop back, you just hit Shift and 1, and it jumps you right back to the exact same camera location. This technology has been around since, Command and Conquer and Red Alert and stuff, but now it's been brought to Rimworld, and you can just have camera hotkey locations. It's so useful. Have you ever been playing the game and you've heard gunfire, and you're like, where is that coming from? What's going on? Well, there's a simple mod to fix that problem. It's called Dubs Mint Minimaps. Up here in the top right, you can see there's an actual map of the map. This technology has been around as well since Command and Conquer, and yet somehow it has now been brought into Rimworld as well. It is truly amazing. This just allows you to see everything that's going on in here. Not only that, it shows you the bullets that will be fired when people are hunting things down. Also, when the weather gets nasty and flash storms start going off, you can see where the fires are. They will literally show up on your radar as big orange blobs. So instead of having to zoom out, look around and keep your eyeballs on every single square inch of the map to try and figure out where the problems are coming from, which you can do. It's not like this is it is an advantage, I will admit, but it's not actually changing the game. It just means you don't have to spend so much time looking around the map like some sort of savage. You can just look at the minimap and figure out where you're going, as well as that you can click on the minimap to jump to locations. This also makes it really handy to keep track of multiple attacks from multiple directions. While you're busy doing your defenses, you don't have to pause the game, you can be moving everyone into position, and if you see that the enemy change course, you literally can just adapt on the fly. This makes your life simpler, easier. I don't know why this isn't baked into the base game as well. This has saved me so much time and effort, and there I know that one of my pawns was over there shooting at something, and I know they're close to the fire, and you can keep an eye on them. You will, of course, miss things at times, but yes, I would heavily recommend Dubs Mint Minimaps. Saves so much effort. As the game goes on and you get more and more pawns under your control, things that were not an issue in the early game start to become a problem. For example, trying to figure out who's got low morale judging by those backgrounds are pretty tricky. For example, Mila there is a bit chunky, and it's really hard to tell what her needs are at because the bar behind her is almost invisible. So her mood's actually not terrible, plus she's got some nice bonuses going on there. So the next mod, color-coded mood bars. Looking across the top, you can see everyone in green is doing great, everyone in blue is not so bad, and then people in red are maybe in need of a little bit of loving. At the moment, they're not really doing the best. Once they go below a certain amount, we're going to have problems. But still, you'll notice Mia here, not really easy to see what's going on there. Some of the chunkier pawn models just really mess that up. Even Digtastic there, at certain levels, it's hard to see what's happening. Now this is a good mod, I like it, it's useful, but it does have a few downsides. Namely, if you look down here when we click on a pawn, you don't really get an awful lot of info. All you're seeing is that they've got their stats of what they're set to, they're set to aggressive, and there's some information down here you really don't care about too much. So let's maybe boost that a little bit. This is Rimhood. Rimhood is one of my favorites, just for the amount of information it crams in here. In fact, I don't even need most of this. It's got, well, okay, let's just go with the base ones that are very handy. First thing up is mood. Having people's mood just listed right there is very handy. You just click on them, you see exactly what percentage their mood at. You can even see the little bars there which indicate if they're going to go below the breakpoints. At the same point, it's always got the rest, recreation, food. These three are really important. If any of those are very low, you know they're getting negative debuffs from that, so you usually send them off for food or rest or recreation, whichever one of those is appropriate. All just baked in a nice, quick, easy at a glance to see little HUD. Also, they've got all of their skills and stats listed over here, though honestly, I do not use that much. Normally, you know what your pawns are good at. However, you can change the foods here, you can change their outfits or their schedules. There's all sorts of stuff you can set them up to do, though realistically, I don't really use this as much as I should. Their activity down here tells them what they're currently doing and what weapon they've currently got equipped. That's also, well, that's what you normally have on this screen, but here it's just a little bit smaller and harder to see, though not a big deal. The only thing I find a bit weird is you can actually check, say if you've got sappers coming in, you can click on them and see down here which one is the sapper, because it'll tell you they're going to attack a wall. You don't get that by default, so it's a little bit of a cheat, so maybe don't click on people to find out if they're going to be the sapper if you want to make sure it's completely vanilla and you're not giving yourself an unfair advantage. However, there's one thing I really like doing with this, and that is there's an edit button down here. Now, this gets a little bit tricky, but if you're willing to play it around with it a bit, you can do some fun stuff. By fiddling around and adding and removing things, it takes a little bit of fumbling, but you can eventually start adding and removing things from here. For example, I've stuck in headshots and kill counts. So every single pawn that I click on, it will tell me how many headshots they've got in their career and how many kills they have total. Now that you can change that to be all kills or animal kills or human kills or mechanoid kills. There's all sorts of stats and stuff you can add in here. Let's go, say, add a stat. You can pick any of these: 10 quality offer, surgery, success chance, factor stat. All of this stuff is available. I like to stick in the medical surgery success chance and have that easily accessible, because you can have an issue where your top surgeon has got sick or has lost some fingers in a recent fight or is injured and their surgery success chance has dipped very low and you won't notice and queue up an operation and someone gets injured. So just having that information available there, very handy. Any information you want, you can get it displayed here if you want, and the flexibility behind it is just amazing. I really do enjoy it. Now, the other biggest factor for having this installed is the move speed. Having the move speed just listed here, oh, okay. Did you ever have that issue where someone's attacking an animal? You've got that message of Mega Sloth Revenge shows up, and you're like, oh, that could be a problem, because they have very large claws and can do an awful lot of damage. And you have to figure out if you can get your pawn out of the way in time. Well, now you just look here and go, oh, it's got a move speed of 3.17. My pawn has a move speed of 4.60. I can easily kite this thing until the end of time. At the same time, if the Mega Sloth is moving too fast still and you know it's going to close the distance, then you know that you should just stand your ground and keep shooting, because you're going to get mauled one way or the other. You might as well see if you can stop it before it gets there. Or maybe you can squeeze off another shot, do enough damage to slow it down, meaning you can get away. So it just allows you to quickly and efficiently figure out what you're facing instead of having to go in here and go into this menu. It just saves you so much time. So I definitely recommend the Rim HUD. And even if you don't like the information it's presenting you here, you can change it. Just go in and change it to whatever you want. It's so handy, this mod. I cannot recommend it enough. Another quick thing that's nice to know is what exactly your pawns are equipped with in terms of weaponry. There's no really simple way to find out. I mean, looking through all of these, you can't get a list. It's just not there. It's not an option. Well, yeah, no, still not an option. There's nothing you can actually look at that will show you what every one of your pawns are listed with. You have to manually go in, though there is the dot and comma, and you can scroll through to figure out what everyone's got. This just seems very inefficient. Show Draftees weapon mod. It just means that all across the top you can have all your pawns display the weapons that they're currently carrying. Did you give someone grenades so they could deal with an infestation but then forgot to put them back to their regular carry? Did you give people miniguns to help deal with that infestation of centipedes, or that attack of centipedes, but then you forgot to put them back to their normal weapons so that they could run around the base at higher speeds? You'll get a constant reminder up here because you've got them all listed. Now, there's also some options for all of these mods. The only one I'll mention for this one here, which is Show Draftees Weapon, you can turn it off so it doesn't show you them when they're not drafted. That way, only when you actually click on them and say draft them up for a bit of a fight like this, that's the only time it'll show. Personally, I'm not a fan of this. I prefer to have it showing all the time. While we were trading there, we sent over our best trader, Sir White. And the reason we know Sir White is our best trader is because he has the highest social skill and, we've been training him up. However, it's not always that obvious. What happens if Sir White loses an ear? He's got a bionic ear right now, but what happens if he loses the other one? What happens if he's suffering from withdrawal effects? What happens if he's injured? What happens if he's sick? Who's got our best, or what happens if someone gets a trade inspiration? Well, that's where the numbers mod comes in. This thing is incredible. I cannot stress how useful this is, so I'll just show you a few examples of how you can use it, because it's more of a tool as opposed to just a straight up fixing one issue. It fixes so many. First off, let's just go with trade price improvement. You can literally list it. You just go into stats and you can find trade price improvement along with immunity gain speed factor, global work speed, smoothing speed, everything. Tame animal chance. You can chuck it in there and you can see who's your best chance to actually tame animals. It's Sir White. He's really good at the social stuff. But this simple way of sorting things doesn't just extend to simple things like this. Let's try something a little bit more complex. You get struck dead with the plague. A bunch of your colonists get infected. You're like, okay, which ones actually need better medicine than just herbal? You don't want to be burning herbal on all of them. Now, there are mods that allow you to more intelligently use medicine, but this one's just a case of, okay, this person actually has 1.2% positive, as in they're 1.2% in the green, and they're getting better. This one is actually just struggling. They're almost perfectly even in terms of infection or not. You can see there it's actually minus, so they're a little bit below perfect. And this one is minus 3.8, but they may have been late getting into tending because they're actually going up and they're getting better. This one, though, still going down, even despite they've been tended. Their immunity isn't going as fast as it should. So we'll just change them to best quality medicine available, and they'll get some extra love and care, so they hopefully should survive better. And this is just a way of parsing the information that's simple and easy to get on one screen. And let's try something else. When it comes to smashing up rocks to make stone blocks, the only skill that actually counts is your general labor speed, your global labor speed. So the easiest way to find it out is just list it. Pull it up as one of the stats here. You can adjust and put in pretty much any records you want, and you can find out who's got the best. And it might not be who you think. For example, Digtastic. Why are they so good at it? Well, it turns out they're a mangled brain scars has turned them into a trauma savant, which has given them a plus 50% of their manipulation, making them wonderful at it. Anita, 120%. Why is that? Well, it turns out she's actually a bit neurotic, and that's given her a plus 20% global work speed bonus. Oh no! Randy has given us a psychic drone high, and all the females in our colony are about to become very unhappy. However, we have planned for this. We have a big stockpile of psychic foil helmets. Now we just got to figure out which one of our colonists are female, and then we've got to manually send them in and pick up their hats. Or what we could do is just go in here, go into miscellaneous, and find gender. Great, now that we've got gender, we can just sort by gender, figuring out who's males, who's females, and now we've got them all in a list. Next up, we just list their current outfits. And there we go. Now, they're all currently in military. Now we have made a preset earlier that allows us to change this to military psi helmet. And there we go. Oh, 1 second. Let me change that again. There we go. Now that we've got them sorted by gender, we just go blah, 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 blah. Boom. Now everyone goes and puts on their psi helmet. And then when they're finished and this has ended and all of the negative psi effects have gone away, all we do is we go right back into the numbers mod. We change this back to military and scroll all the way down again. And then everyone runs away, puts away their psychic foil helmets and puts back on their decent marine helmets or cataphract armor or whatever they were wearing beforehand. And that's just an example of what you can do just using the information you have available here and what's listed. There's situations that are going to arise during your gameplay that I can't even predict, that this will just come in useful for you to find out what you want and get it fixed in time. Oh, and how's our sick people doing? Oh no, they'll be grand in a minute. Also, some of the information you can pull out of here is just, it's ridiculous. Like, I think my favorite one is time on fire. Yes, this is the amount of time our people have been on fire. Who's the winner at the moment? 7.8 days for Anita. She was on fire for 7.8 days of her entire existence. I don't know how some of these pawns, like loads of them, have been on fire for over a day. How many Inferno Cannon hits does it take to keep you on fire that long? I don't know, but when it comes to mods, this one is probably the one I would recommend the most over pretty much anything else, except for maybe the maps. Actually, you know what? I recommend pretty much all of them. They're great. Every single one of them makes your life easier, reduces clicks, and it's still the same base vanilla game. It just has the information you need a little bit more conveniently at hand. Are you in the middle of a recruitment drive? You're trying to cook yourself up some fresh pawns, but it's finding the correct ones is just really, really painful because you have to go through each one manually and go, wait, what has he got? What's this one got? What's this one got? Do they have any negative traits? It all becomes a pain. Even with the numbers mod, just say you're searching for a good crafter, you can sort by a good crafter, but then you don't know what traits they have until you actually check them out. They might actually be useless. Oh, great, this one's lazy. That was just a waste of clicks. However, there is a mod for this, the numbers trait add-on mod. The only thing it does is put in this. That's it. That's all it does is add in this trait section, which I think should have been in here by default, but whatever. Now, we can sort by crafting, and then we can look right here and see exactly what traits they have without having to go into every single individual pawn. And you can just like scroll down and pick out whichever one is the best crafter you want. Do you want a trigger happy undergrounder, an abrasive undergrounder, an ascetic brawler undergrounder? You know, just in case someone drop pods in, they immediately get set upon by your brawler who you've armed with a lovely mace or, you know, mono sword, whatever. It just makes everything so much simpler. Now, if I was probably doing this one, who would I want? I would want someone with a great memory. Ooh, there we go. Ascetic, great memory, careful shooter. And how long did that take? That was like a few minutes, and I was able to scroll through how many of them. So, yeah, you would probably be my choice. Great memory is wonderful for your crafters. It means they can actually go up to 20 and stay there reliably, even if they've only got regular. Actually, you know what? Let's see if there's someone better. There is one that's too tough, or too smart and tough here. That would give them a nice little bonus, but no, I'd probably still go with the ascetic careful shooter, great memory. Not a fan of the careful shooter one. It's just that great memory trait is so powerful on a crafter. But wait a minute, what if we want a tailor? Well, in that case, let's just go in here. Actually, yeah, artistic. Yeah, we'll go for artist. We're looking for a good artist. What do we got in here? There we go. And then you can start looking for whichever one you want. In fact, let's see. These all look actually pretty terrible. I'm not even interested in any of them. You know what? Let's find a shooter instead. Oh, would you look at that? Sanguine, steadfast, ugly. They would make a wonderful shooter. Great memory, slow learner, no thank you. Body purist, no thank you. It just the simple way you can glance over these, find ones, and immediately identify the traits that make them not suitable for the job so you can find someone else. Chemical fascination, no thank you. Transhumanist, yes please, I will take you. Industrious pyromaniac, ooh, pyromaniacs, no thank you. Save yourself a bunch of time. Use the numbers mod, get yourself the traits add-on, makes your recruitment an absolute breeze. Oh, and if you're playing tribal, it's much easier to recruit tribals. I love playing tribal. Anyway, I will cut that out there. When it comes to mods, these are pretty much my go-to ones that I would have in every playthrough. In fact, I can't imagine playing the game without them. They just make life so much simpler. I mean, even this maps mod here, I know there's an animal down here that could potentially hunt my pawns if it goes out there. Just from glancing at the map, you're able to tell it that simply. So do yourself a favour. Install yourself some friendly mods. They don't change the game balance. They just make your life a joy. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed and good luck.